Write each percent as a decimal. To do that, you can divide the value by 100, or you can just move the decimal 2 spots to the left. In that gap, we put an extra 0, so this is 0.00845. Consider the following situations. $1,000 is deposited into an account earning an annual simple interest rate of 2%. How much interest is in 1 year? So we used I equals the principal times the rate, which was the percent written in this as a decimal, and then the time, which was 1. So 1,000 times 0.02 times 1 is interest is $20. So in 2 years, the only thing that would change is the 1 would turn into a 2. Which would give you $40 in interest. And then for C, instead of 2 years, we would have 5 years, which would be $100 in interest. For situation B, it says $1,000 is deposited into an account, earning annual simple interest for 5 years, this time with a rate of 2%. So the time would be 5, and that would give us $100 in interest. But then in part B, it changes the percent or the rate to 3%. The time is still 5 years. So 1,000 times 0.03 times 5 is $150 in interest. And for part C, the principal stays the same. The rate changes to 5%, and the time is still 5 years. Which is $250 in interest. For situation C, money is deposited into an account for 5 years, earning 2% interest, and this time the principal is what's going to change. Then 1,000, and then 2,000. So we'll multiply those values out to figure out how much interest is earned for each of these situations. We already did this one, and that was $100. 500 times 0.02 times 5 is $50. And 2,000 times 0.02 times 5 is $200. Mr. Banks takes out a loan for $320 that has an annual simple interest rate of 5%. Mrs. Banks pays $64 in interest. How long does it take her to pay off the loan? Complete the graph to help you answer the question. We're going to use our interest equals principal times rate times time formula. The principal is $320, and the rate is 0.05. The time, we don't know, but it does tell us they paid $64 in interest. So if I combine these, 320 times 0.05, that is 16. So I have 64 equals 16 times t. To solve it for t, I would divide both sides by 16. And that is t equals 4. It was an annual interest, so that is 4 years to pay off the loan. If she pays it off in 0 years, she would be required to pay $0 in interest. If she pays off the loan in 1 year, she would pay $16 in interest. So 12, 14, 16. In 2 years, 320 times 0.05 times 2 would give us 32. In 3 years, that would be $48 in interest. And in 5 years, that would be $64 in interest. You can see that a straight line is created through those points. It takes Mr. White 4 years to pay off a simple interest loan. The bank charges an annual interest rate of 5.5%. If Mr. White pays $352 in interest, how much was the loan? Okay, so it takes him 4 years, that's the time. They charge him 5.5%. That's a decimal, that's 0.055. And then the interest he paid was $352. Let's multiply these together. 0.055 times 4 is 0.22. To solve that for p, we divide both sides by 0.22. And that says the principal was $1,600. So his original loan was $1,600. Kabir places $270 into a bank account that earns simple interest. So $270 in the bank account is the principal. If in 3 years Kabir earns $14.58 interest, the time is 3. The interest is $14.58. What is the annual interest rate on this account? So 270 times 3 is 810. To solve that for the rate, we divide both sides by 810. And R comes out to 0.018. That is the rate, but if we wanted to write it as a percent, we would say that is 1.8% interest rate. In 8 years, Yuyan earns 180 in interest on a bank account that earns annual simple interest rate of 0.9%. That is 0.009. I need to make that bigger. What was the principal he deposited? Remember, we moved that decimal 2 spots. So it is 0.009. 0.009 times 8 is 0.072, and we still have the p. To solve that for p, we divide both sides by that decimal. And that is a principal of $2,500 that he deposited. Miss Hassan takes out a simple interest loan in the amount of $880 over 2.5 years. Miss Hassan pays $253 in interest. What is the annual rate? Well, 880 times 2.5 is 2,200. So to solve it for r, the rate, we're going to divide by that value. And that is 0.115. As a percent, we move that decimal, so it is 11.5%. Liam deposits 1,000 into a bank account. That is the principal. With an annual interest rate of 1.1%, so that is 0.11. How long does it take Liam to earn $118.25 in interest? 1,000 times 0.011 is 11, and there's still the t. Divide both sides by 11. And we get 10.75. That was annual, and this is time, so that means 10.75 years. That wraps it up for lesson 18. Keep checking back for more videos on other ways that we use interest or percents.